Welcome back to Wickerson Studios, the basic intermediate one-liners for ghPython nodes. I am translating the one-liner Python book into that exactly, and we have three more files here. I believe they are 06, 07, and 08, dealing with slicing. We're still looking hard into list comprehension. The first one is right here, and it's fairly intense to get into slicing. It can get a little logically frustrating, but I put these into user objects. They're available on GitHub. They're available through my Patreon, but you can also sit and type these in yourself and experiment. So there's nothing really that fancy about it. I just like my little WS logo, and I like making my nice user objects up here to jump in whenever I want to refresh and learn what I can. So this is a slicing. It's the basis of many advanced Python libraries such as NumPy, Pandas, TensorFlow, and scikit-learn. You're dealing with the basic idea that you take a variable, you're taking something and you're basically finding its start, stop, and step. So very similar to what you'd see within start, step, count in a series component. But here we go, some nice little outputs, and we'll take a look at, I've just chosen to use this text, double click to edit panel content, and that is the input X that I'm bringing in, and I think I'm getting very lazy now. I'm just leaving it as ghdoc items. I'm not even changing it to string, just letting it run as it is, because in Python, I don't have to be so type specific, which is not good practice considering I'm trying to learn C#. Anyway, so sorry, Jose Luis, but I'm still pushing ghPython because that's my biggest following on Facebook. The ghPython Facebook private group. Sign up if you like. So basically, you see you're going from start 0, and you're stepping by the length, and the length is parametric, so I can move and make that go longer or shorter in that first output, A going to 0. Sometimes I move this into a merge component so I can know that the order's been put in. It gets a little tricky if you put these out of order. You have to hold down shift to put multiple ones in. The next one, if you go length, the 0, and you're only going by step 0, start, stop, step, start, step, stop, start, stop, step. Yes, it's going to stop at 0, so it's just going to be an empty, just 0 empty elements. C, you're going to go all the way to the full length, so it's going to do exactly the same what the top one did, which is fine. Another way of writing exactly what you did. 0 to length, you can just leave the 0 out, and it defaults to 0. Then length, start going all the way through. You'll see what happens with D, ABCD, which will be 3. To edit panel content, we have started with that count. So the starts at 17, which would be dit panel content. You can see how that changes. Let's bring it down pretty low. And then if we go all the way to 100, which is past, so we'll just print the whole content because there wasn't 100 characters in that, including spaces. Then if I start at 0 and I stop at 24 and I step by 2, it'll grab every second letter for those first 24 elements. And then G says, let's start, stop, go all the way the whole distance, and just jump and do-si-do every third step. So if we change that up to 4, you see it probably shrink in size. And there it goes, dil E on. And then if you throw in this negative number, it can be negative anything. So we could put in negative Y and have another parameter for a number. So we could actually say negative X. And I think that's still going to come up as a reverse list. Nope, totally. It's got to be a number. Or if it's less than 0, it will work. So that could be -1, -3, whatever you want. But since simplicity is what we're looking for, we'll just leave it as -1. And you can see that is double click to edit. What does this say? Panel content. I can't read backwards. All right, and then it gets a little crazy. You start at 16. You're going to reverse it with the -1. You're going to go all the way back to 1. So you're going to get double going backwards. Double click. You start at 1, so it leaves out the D because that's count 0. So double click 2, which is backwards, ought, whatever this says, counting these 16 backwards. So you can really have a little bit of fun with slicing to extract out content and just play with it and think about how you're going to even make that geometric if it's tied to anything you've wanted to do in your life, like casting metal. All right. The next one is find method with lambda, which is actually pretty cool. It checks things like strings, and I think works really well on strings, but it works on everything. The count is 10, and so I just typed in a little bit that I've been watching online, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and it's saying, what a great one-liner, and try and make sense of this. you're going to find, that is the variable that we're going to output, and I'm just letting A be the process of going through that, because it's not that we're going to want A to be find. We want A to be find Dow Jones, look for stock. And what it does is I have a count on here, which can be, watch what happens in here. I can change the length of that, but you'll see the S stays right in the middle on stock, because that's the word I'm looking for. So try and make sense of this. Walk through this, figure this out. You're using the lambda, you're looking for X and Q, and then basically for X, you're going to find Q minus the count that you put in there. The count was 10 currently, so I'm going to go ahead of it by 10. And then I'm also going to find Q plus 10. I'm going to go after that S by 10. So if you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I imagine we're getting the space there, but it's hard to say. If I go back to 9, no, I lose one. I guess it's counting. It includes that as the 0, 0, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's before and after it. So that's kind of, you have to fudge the numbers around to see that. And then else, you're just going from -1. And you need that if else to, I guess, exclude everything else that you don't want. So I'm still logically wrapping my head around that a bit, but let's just grab another word in our thing. Let's say we were looking for performance. That's just do per. And I think the first per is over here on performance. And let's change the count by 7 and hit play. And there you go. You got per right in the middle. Stock per 4. And then what I've got going out of A is it's finding, oh, why didn't A upgrade? That's interesting that didn't. Why did it not? What did I do wrong? Interesting to think about that, why A did not is stock. So let me just go back here for a second, see what happens. Let's go back. Oh, because I didn't change stock. I still got it on per. Sometimes I just lose my mind. Let's do per, and then let's change this to per. And of course, you can bring in any data you want. So now I've never thought this way as like a data scientist. And let's test, and I've got something wrong, -1, because I spelled preform as performance. And performance is PER. So there you go. Now it matches up, stock performance. So don't let that confuse you with the old stock one. I'm just going to test it. This file will change, but you can always grab the sample file and keep a look at it. So sorry I slowed myself down, but I like to trick myself up once in a while, just keep myself on my toes. Let's group that one for you as we send it off as a user object. Let's group that for you. And then let's take a look at this last one, which is really fun. And I'm starting to get a little bored with sitting and, let's say, typing in all this stuff, or typing in, having to write this in and cut and paste from something else. I want to generate my own things. So this script is fairly simple. It is a list comprehension with slicing, and it takes a whole bunch of data, and you can see here a whole bunch of data, and then gives me a way to slice out like every second word. So here's the frequency 2. There's frequency every 3, every 4, every 5. I can cut that list down and try and read data quicker by just averaging in between data. So this is a really nice technique, and I think this is a great one to experience. And what I did, just to show my awesome proficiency, which I'm very excited about, I said, well, I'm not going to sit and type in a list like they did within the book, like not like make a list of lists and call that the price index. I'm just going to bring it in as X, and I actually wrote my own. I created my own tree, and you can create your tree, and in doing so, let me just fudge around here. Not only did I have that frequency parametric, I can play through the jitter and move these things. I throw the jitter onto that data. I've made sure I grafted this in the second series, starting from 1 in both cases, and then starting the step by 1. But if I didn't want step by 1, it's going to just make some really accurate numbers. You can see down there in the output, holy cow, you're getting like 10, 15 decimal places. Well, I'm just going to keep it even. And then over here, I can have as many items as I want in each list. And if I wanted to crank this up, so say I had a really cool range of numbers that I was going here and I edited, and I had 100 in the series. So now you got tons of data, boom, and it's trying to read that 1.3 data coming out. But the frequency, look at all those numbers. That's still too much data to think about understanding. Well, I can take the frequency every 5, every 6, and then I average. Look at that. Every 10th number is going to give me this data to have an analysis of. And this is all intended for understanding stocks more, investing your money better, and making more money. So a great example with list comprehension with slicing. And after we're done this one, which I'm so excited about, I will group. We are going to finish up this set with this chapter. We're going to finish it up with using slice assignments to correct corrupt lists. It means that they've just been misprinted or you don't have the best data that's been collected, and then analyzing a cardiac health data, which is fine. And I'll play with that and make it something a little more, maybe not as health oriented, and maybe do something a little in another direction. And then we're going to generate expressions to find companies that pay below minimum wage, and we might do something that's a little more optimistic than that. When we're done that, next series I will finish up the chapter with the zip function, which I don't know much about. Well, I know enough about it. And then we'll go into data science. So keep in mind, this was all just Python tricks, and I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to build a really nice basic intermediate file for us. And I've got a bunch of bifocals on here for some reason. This is the second of 5 chapters, so the next one will be intermediate when we're done. Thanks for watching.